Okay, viewers, well, is my repair job so far. Now I just tested these with my multimeter on continuity mode and tested them for short, and they're not, according to that, they're not shorted. But I'm going to crack this thing up slowly at a low voltage and just see what happens. I'm not going to run this thing at full power if they're in doubt, but I did test those and they're not shorted, so either way, haven't done any damage. But yeah, just checking over my work, make sure nothing is damn shorted. I left the paper wax cap in place. I cut one lead, soldered this in, but forgot to cut the other lead and remove the cap altogether, so it was just dangling there. So I cut that out, and now it's just all neatened up. I always run heat shrink over my capacitor leads. It's too fiddly to cut the leads short and solder the capacitors right in place, because you end up bumping and hitting everything else around here with the soldering iron. You know, like little places like this, got to get under here with the soldering iron, end up burning precise parts and pushing resistors up out of tolerance, and just a pain in the ass. Excuse me. It becomes a pain in the ass, so it's best to leave these long. You do less damage that way. But whatever you do, you put heat shrink over your leads, like I've done here. Good for safety. There's plenty of room under the chassis, they're not going to be in the way or anything. Now, I'm going to test these resistors. I think they can be a little bit out of tolerance. Probably within this, the cert, whatever the... Yeah, some have tolerance markings on them, on these resistors, and some don't, but according to my research, they can be a tiny bit out of tolerance, it's okay, but if they're way up in value, it's not good for valves, so... I think within 10% or over 10% or something in some cases, you got to change them. So I've got to refer to my schematic and study this and find exactly which resistor is where. So we've got a transformer. Oops, just got to get the book ready. So here I've got to look for a resistor here somewhere. So 6V4, which is, I think, is this one. Looking at the top of the chassis. So I go into here, and there's resistors here somewhere. 4.7k and 5.6k. So that's probably these two. But yeah, I'll give this a test and see what happens if I'm right. Because yeah, it does take some studying to find exactly which resistor is where, according to the schematic. Because I tend to mess up a lot on that, so let's find out what they are. Okay, viewers, I've been measuring resistors, like obvious ones here, like these little ones. Averaged them out. According to the schematic, they're in correct tolerance. These two measured half what they should be, but because of this bloody lead, I pushed it and got good connection, and it measured the right value, so I haven't got a reliable damn multimeter to properly test these resistors, so it should still be within tolerance, but I'm still going to be pretty cautious about that. I think these are all carbon composition too, so they're pretty hard to come by nowadays. I want to keep the original types in there as I can. So now that I've tested these caps and they're not shorted, before I do that, I'm going to change this cord. As I said, I'm not running this at full power, so I'm going to run it at low voltage. Just wait till the sound starts to come on, and we'll go from there. Then once I've confirmed that, I'm going to set it aside and clean this case up. Bit of cut and shine, and that'll bring it in good spirits. And that way the radio will be looking good. So yeah, let's get this cord replaced. Okay, viewers, the antenna's connected. My new cord's all fitted the right way around. I've got a red texter and mark where the active was, for good measure, so I know where to put the active in case I forget. Even though I've got the schematic, I like to be extra careful and use a red texter and mark the live side always, so just to be safe. Now I've tested those caps, they weren't shorted according to my meter. There was no short beeps to indicate any shorts. I'm going to test the earth, make sure my earth is soldered properly, which is on the negative of the capacitors, which is soldered to the chassis, which is ground. So I'm going to test the earth with this using the continuity, which is just a test for short circuits. So I'll do that. What we'll do here, we'll get one lead under the earth pin, run to the chassis of the radio. And that beeping indicates short circuit, so from earth pin to the radio chassis, we've got a good connection. Neutral, no beep, which is good. Active, no beep, and that's good. Now I'm going to plug this in my variac and run this at low power. I'm going to keep this cord here, clean it up, straighten it out, and put alligator clips at each end. And just use it as a shortwave antenna. So yeah, let's get this thing hooked up at low power and see what it does. Okay viewers, I've found out the problem I was having running this at low voltage with the original cord. The wiring in this plug is just dodgy. The neutral screw that is connected to the neutral side is actually rusted so bad it doesn't look like it's a very good connection, so that could be a resistance joint there. So that's probably caused lower than what voltage was coming out of this, so I would have got a lower power to this again. So we'll plug this into a variac which is on 0. I'll plug it in, power, and see what happens. Now, my local radio station is Victoria, which is got to go back this way. MA, which is there. So about there, because this is pre-19, I think 1980 sometime they extended the bandwidth to 1710, and that could be a 1990 so. And it had AM stereo, and it had like this kilocycles, how it was tuned, to change it from 9 kHz to 10 kHz or something like that. And there these radios are no longer spot on, so I'm going to turn this up. I might not have it turned on, hang on. Oh, I got that the right way, good. Let's try 140 volts. Alright, all the valves are lighting up. Bit hard to see because it's so filthy, but they're all coming up. To 20 volts. $240.
Now, does this avert the crisis, or does this highlight the crisis?
It is grounded, so
measures in place, which would be triggered.
It's on full 240 and it's working, and I cannot hear any hum.
But they're going to have to cut the spending, aren't they?
So those caps are actually filtering out hum for their age.
Going to shut us down. Why? We're not
There's normal amplifier radio noise, but that's normal.
No, we're not an arts program. We're a current affairs program.
Now I've got some dirty controls I've got to work out here.
That's right. We talk about current affairs. Yeah, we don't do. It's nothing artistic.
Yeah, this radio does need some work.
We're talking about economics this week.
That's at 240 volts.
Do we, Brian? Sometimes we talk about other things. We talk about economics this week because
Valves are all looking pretty good. Judging by the size of that audio output valve, it's ought to be bloody loud once I get these controls cleaned.
Doesn't mean acting. No performance.
Yeah, starting to add a lot of this in the controls to get it to work right. But that's my local station there, and it's actually spot on. So this thing, alignment wise and dial wise, it's absolutely spot on. But those caps, I cannot hear any hum, so that's unbelievable. I did order some new ones, so I'm going to replace them anyway.
Isolated showers tomorrow, top of 15. Good afternoon.
Now, be careful when I turn this off. You hear it fade out, and that's the capacitors holding their full charge, dying out. That's what they're doing in here. They got that fade to it, and it discharges. So that's unbelievable. They're still actually acting like they're new. So those caps still are fine, but for how long I don't know. So probably next week, early next week, hopefully, when the caps arrive, we're going to replace them. just for good measure. Let it warm up. Volume's on flat out.
The government lifts consumer confidence.
This particular radio does not have a pickup input, so
Acting opposition leader Julie Bishop says
I don't hear any burning or zapping noises, so that's good.
Business and consumer confidence.
As I said, this is
shored up.
Earth, so I can safely touch the control, so that's not that it's Earth.
will start from July next year. Michael Packy, Canberra. Sebastian from Comsec says the Australian share market slumped 4% at the open and has remained at that level all day.
We're seeing that the selling is across the board. Certainly some sectors are seeing much more significant weakness than others. There's no surprises that the resources and the banking sector are at the height of their weakness in compared to stuff like the defensive sectors like consumer staples as well as the telcos.
Just before the close,
Bit noisy in the
index
switches.
was down 179
Lots of dust and
points
stuff over the
at
years.
4,173.
Now I'm gonna give it a good cosmetic clean now, so
Students at a private grammar school in Melbourne's west.
go over this glass carefully. It's glass.
Was involved in a collision in
Go over that with some methylated spirits. It's the same as Windex, just a homemade version.
It's alleged she was driving
Polish that
with a
glass
cancelled
right up.
licence and blew .032
And if I can,
when breath tested.
I'll try and polish
Police
his dial
attended
lamps up.
Westbourne Grammar at Truganina this morning. And
Then I'm going to
arrested
give
the
this
51-year-old.
knobs a good
She was
going over.
questioned
These
and
controls
released.
need contact
Police say
cleaner.
investigations are continuing. The Federal Court
Very noisy.
Tiger Airways and the Civil Aviation Safety Authority hope the airline's problems can be resolved in a week. Phil Johnson reports.
The lawyer for the Civil Aviation Safety Authority has told the federal court CASA has handed over another
Nice bass. It's not as loud as I thought it was, but
matters to be addressed.
these are known to be clear at high volume, like good performance, and this does not distort much, as I thought it would turning it up.
With Tiger Airways since safety concerns forced the airline to be grounded last month and said it was hoped that over the next 7 days the matter could be resolved without court intervention.
Alright viewers, switch off,
Told the court
power off, let those valves cool, and I give those valves a very careful clean. Because the markings on them, I think they're actually chalk markings on the sides of those valves. They'll smudge off very easily, so I have to be careful when I clean them. By cleaning all the muck off them, they'll aid in cooling, and that muck actually tends to trap heat. It's not always a good thing, so best to get that clean. I think there's a bit of dust here. I've got a soft brush inside. I go over this all with a soft brush, give the chassis a good cleaning over. Then I'll start working on the case, so yeah. I'm actually very surprised that those caps are still filtering out all the hum. So yeah, let's get this thing cleaned up.